Hello, 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 and welcome to the Arcade Era Power Hour, episode 20.
Woo!
Yeah, hooray! we made it 20 episodes. I am, as ever, Gibbon.
And I am, for this week only, Milo.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. While stocks last.
While stocks last, everything must go. This week, we'll be going over a bit more of a nebulous topic than we usually cover. We're going to cover our pitches for a hypothetical arcade era All Stars title.
Yeah, this is our fun holiday end of year episode where we just make up a fantasy world where we get to create game collections.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of news since last episode. Though the one thing being that Hallmark every year does a bunch of video game themed ornaments, and there's usually a Donkey Kong one in there. And this year happens to be an arcade inspired one.
Hmm.
And it's one of the classic Donkey Kong arcade Donkey Kong sprites holding a barrel.
Hmm.
In past years, they've done things like a little miniature of a Donkey Kong arcade cabinet or like a modern DK figurine and stuff like that. So they're nice little things to collect, which I haven't because they're bloody expensive uh, and limited time. They're already this year's are already off the site. They've removed them. You have to
Hmm.
get them from resellers now. I think the cheapest one I saw was like $56.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the DK in this one is kind of the voxel style that they used for the 8-bit Mario amiibo and the Link amiibo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not quite full 3D with depth, but it has a little bit of depth.
If you can find it for not too much, I'd grab it. If only for the novelty.
To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the voxel look.
Yeah, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing. That's cool.
But yeah, that was pretty much it as far as arcade era related news goes. It's been kind of slow in the video game sphere this year for understandable reasons.
I heard there was a global pandemic.
Yeah, something about that.
Mm.
We do have one listener question slash response, but we're going to cover it after we give our pitches because it's kind of asking how we would go about another hypothetical pitch.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good epilogue to the topic. So yeah, we can cover it later in the show.
But yeah, so
yes, short preamble this time. Let's get into the topic.
yeah. In the vein of beloved Super Nintendo collection, Super Mario All Stars, or things like the Dracula X collection, or various Mega Man collections, or what have you, Milo pitched the idea of how would we go about doing an arcade era collection of this type. So yeah,
and like you said, there's different models for how this kind of thing can work that we've seen in games over the years.
mm-hmm.
Why don't you start with your pitches? Because I think they're a bit more realistic, perhaps.
Yeah, that's sort of how my brain works. Like we've talked a bit about some of my side projects before, which are like hypothetical game that would have come out during like the 80s, and I have to work within the constraints of what would have been possible or realistic for that time period, because that's how my brain works. So I had a couple different approaches to this, which is if we're going for like a Super Mario All-Stars type thing where you have like the main titles with some updated graphics. I'd probably just, hit up the obvious ones: Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Mario Bros, Donkey Kong 3, and then maybe Congo Bongo as a bonus.
Yeah, this was how the idea started, was the fact that Super Mario All-Stars exists. And it's a SNES game that takes 4 classic NES games and ports them up to 16-bit graphics and sound. The gameplay is maybe tweaked a bit, but it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
And thinking, what would that look like if it was just for arcade era games? So yeah, what you've pitched just now is you've hit the classics, right?
Yeah, except like that's still pretty small. Like with Super Mario All Stars,
Mm,
it's got Mario Bros in there as sort of an afterthought because it's attached to like SMB3 as a battle mode, and they just
that's true.
and that's basically what all of these are. They're
Mm,
arcade games that are really really small. So this would be like a super small collection. So my second idea would be just kind of throw spaghetti at the wall and have all the classic stuff, so like Donkey Kong and the Game and Watch version of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. and the three different Game and Watch versions of Donkey Kong
mm-hmm.
Jr. and Mario Bros and some of the Mario Bros Game and Watch titles and Punch Ball Mario Bros and Mario Bros Special and Donkey Kong 3 and Greenhouse and Donkey Kong 3's Game and Watch related games and Hockey and Circus and Daigyakushu and so on and so forth. Just kind of, you're using a Super Nintendo cart, you might as well fill it up, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
And that's a really good point about the complexity of the games. Super Mario All Stars had 4 big platform adventures in them that had a lot of levels and content. All these games, they have, 3 or 4 levels each?
Yeah.
They're very arcadey experiences designed to be looped and played and replayed. So by comparing it to a Game & Watch game, which again has very simple gameplay, but arcadey style or arcadey genre of structure,
Yeah.
then yeah, you could load them up there. Now, when you say that it's a sort of Game & Watch gallery type approach, one of the famous aspects of those collections on Game Boy and Game Boy Advance was that they had the modern remakes with new graphics,
Yes.
sometimes new play mechanics and new characters added to them. Would you be aiming to do that with this kind of collection?
You know what? I totally would be. For a lot of these, they're really similar. So, like, you'd run into maybe some issues with like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Game and Watch, or where they're really really similar with only kind of minor differences. So maybe you could sort of mash those together in places and sort of have a definitive version of the arcade experience or something like that.
I'm going to include that in part of my pitch when we get to it, but go on.
But others like Donkey Kong 3 and Donkey Kong 3 Game & Watch are actually just sort of completely different from one another. Because like Donkey Kong 3 Game & Watch is a like head-to-head multiplayer thing.
Yeah, it's still a shooter.
Yeah, but it's a sideways thing and you're going up and down vertical tiers, kind of pushing a thing, but it's like the mini games in Donkey Kong Country 3, honestly. Well, kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, evocative of that, where you're pushing a target back and forth at each other. So
yeah, and the 2 characters have equivalent powers.
Yeah, and having modern versions of all of those, and maybe incorporating like the whole of the arcade era cast. Could be interesting. And then maybe if you're feeling super ambitious, you could do some of the what the second DS Game and Watch collection started to do, which is mash up some Game and Watch titles together. What that one did is it came with Parachute and Octopus, and then a third game which is Parachute and Octopus together in one game, where you'd have to be on the boat catching parachuters, and then during down moments like go underwater to grab treasure from the octopus.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I'm not sure how you'd mash up all the like various of the Donkey Kong related ones together, but maybe you could pull in other Game & Watch games to do that with and just have their modern versions feature Donkey Kong characters.
Who is the extended cast? Who is the arcade era cast?
Well, you have Donkey Kong and Junior, obviously, and then Mario and Luigi and Pauline, and Stanley, and then I'd argue for like Spike and maybe the Ice Climbers.
I would include Bones because I'm a big fan of the Supercade cartoon. I was just thinking I drew a pixel art of all the arcade cast together, and I included Pink Donkey Kong Jr. from Junior Math.
Nice.
I included Alarm Cat from Greenhouse, the Game & Watch. And
Good
I also
choice.
included the monkey character who appears in Kazuki Motoyama's comic adaptation of DK94,
Nice.
who is a friendly character.
You know what? Let's elevate Goofy Kong to a full actual character.
Sure.
And since I'm throwing Congo Bongo in here because I refuse to hear otherwise, we can include Safari Sam and Bongo as well.
Nice.
So yeah.
Looking at the list of games that you've put in your big collection there, I notice an obvious omission, I might say, and that is Wrecking Crew, which I think of as the big number 5 title in the arcade era.
You're super right, and it just slipped my mind.
Okay. No important reason.
I was mainly just focusing on Donkey Kong titles and had included Mario Bros. And its permutations, and just Wrecking Crew slipped my mind. Because there is a 3-in-1 arcade machine that's like billed as like the original Mario trilogy or something.
Oh yeah.
That's Donkey Kong Jr., and Mario Bros. So I just kind of started there as a baseline.
No, that is a great place to start. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right. Wrecking Crew should be in there, which gets us Spike, and yeah, that's it. The weird wrench enemies too, and the eggplant men. Sure, why not?
Yeah, and you can also, if you're including Wrecking Crew, you can have the Versus version in it with the multiplayer mode with Luigi. Yeah. But on that note, shall I do my pitch?
Yeah, your pitch is more creative than mine, honestly.
Well, I did have your ideas as well, but then when I went to the document, you'd written them first, so I was like, okay, I got to do something different. So while you took as your basis Super Mario All-Stars, which is a great collection, and the Game & Watch Gallery collections, which are also amazing, I started thinking about what other game collections exist. Well, we've got like Mega Man Legacy Collection. They were split up into different releases, but they're quite bare bones. They have some museum features, but the earlier Mega Man Anniversary Collection tweaked the gameplay of some of the things, which is based on the PlayStation releases of Rockman Perfect Works. But I then thought about the Sonic collections. There's been a lot of those over the years. And
yeah, they have.
There was a cool one in the PS2 generation with Sonic Mega Collection, and then another release called Sonic Mega Collection Plus, which is basically most of the classic games plus a bunch of extras. And then they did Sonic Gems Collection, which was other miscellaneous games like Sonic R and CD, which hadn't been on the earlier one. And they bundled that with a bunch of bonuses. And you mentioned before the Dracula X collection, which is something I really love. On the PSP, it remade... It has a full 3D graphics remake of Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine.
Yes.
But it includes possibly one of the best unlockables in all of video games, which is the entirety of Symphony of the Night with a new translation and a new playable character.
Yep, I own that.
And it also included the original Rondo of Blood as an unlockable, and as an even more bonusy bonus, the weird minigame that you get if you play Rondo of Blood in your PC Engine with the wrong BIOS or something. And it's like really simplistic graphics. So they really dug deep for this collection and expanded things and not only remade the whole game but included these bonuses. So
yeah, I love stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm sort of combining those two things where you have remade games with unlockables, and you have two releases that complement each other, like the Sonic Mega Collection and the Gems Collection. So what I'm pitching is a Mario Brothers collection and a Donkey Kong and Stanley collection as separate things. And these will have 3 headline games as the main feature, and these have been remade. Their graphics and their sound have been redone. You can add more levels in, you can add more playable characters, you can include concepts from any sequels or ports or spin-offs of these games, and they will all include multiplayer as well, whether co-op or competitive.
Okay.
So the Mario Brothers collection will include Donkey Kong. Now, this is controversial. Donkey Kong is not in the Donkey Kong collection, but the intent is that the Mario Brothers collection is the Sonic Mega Collection Plus, and the Donkey Kong collection is the Gems collection with the extra stuff.
Okay.
So you've got Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, and Wrecking Crew. Now, the Donkey Kong remake is going to include some of the ideas of DK94, but not go as far as that. Because what I think about DK94 is it's really cool, but it really rethinks the gameplay. It shifts it more into puzzle platforming. And besides which, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong game on the GBA goes further in expanding on DK94 already. So that kind of already exists. So I was thinking, take it back more to basics and do something like Jumpman Returns, the homebrew game, where it's still in keeping with the original arcade game, but it still expands on it and it adds more levels and stuff. As well as, the Intellivision ones that add more characters. And we can always add extra playable characters like Luigi and Pauline, like we were saying, from the expanded cast. You can even bring Spike in because that really fits the construction zone theming. The Mario Brothers remake is going to include concepts from all the different ports and remakes. Like you said, there's a version of it in Super Mario Brothers 3, the battle mode. There's Mario Brothers Special, Mario Brothers Punch Ball, and Mario Clash on the Virtual Boy. And those are all variants and expansions on Mario Brothers. And yeah, this is a remake that has stuff from all of those in it as new ideas to include. And of course, that's already set up for multiplayer. I didn't really think about how Donkey Kong would have multiplayer, but there's no reason why it can't be done. I don't know. Sure. And yeah, Wrecking Crew as the third one, that already had the versus mode, which I mentioned already, which replaces Spike as an antagonist with another human player on the opposite side of your screen. And Wrecking Crew 98 is interesting. It's a lot more puzzly than the original release, but we can include a lot of stuff from that in any remake of Wrecking Crew. That's going to happen. So that's the main pitch, and then there's these unlockable bonus games that you can find in there, which is basically just the Game & Watch titles. So you'd have Game & Watch Donkey Kong, Game & Watch Mario Brothers, which is, again, nothing to do with the arcade Mario Brothers. It's got the two of them working in a bottling plant and moving things between conveyor belts and stuff. And then we have Mario's Cement Factory and Mario's Bombs Away as the other installments in the arcade era on Game & Watch, which you can include in there. And they have done a good job with releases of Game & Watch games on DSiWare and the DS collections of replicating the look and feel of the original LCD machines, for the most part. I have heard complaints that for some of those releases, they don't show the sprite shadows of the LCD. And those...
whatever.
Well, some purists will say that those are essential for the... for authenticity. But...
Oh, no, my Game Boy Advance doesn't have burn-in. What am I going to do?
Well, there's other things like the original Game Boy had a lot of ghosting on its LCD, right? And
but
some games eventually took that into account.
While that is true, ghosting was due to limitations in the technology. They got rid of it intentionally in newer
the Game Boy
models.
Pocket, yeah.
So
well, okay, what about, say, certain dithering effects that people would include in older games that would be intended to be viewed on a CRT? And the way that technology works, it would have a certain kind of appearance, like a shimmer or a transparency effect.
That's true, and I do appreciate things like Sonic Mania having in the options the ability to turn on a scanline filter. Maybe having those things as options, like having ghosting or sprite shadows and stuff as if you want those, you can go turn them on. Yeah,
I always think that including them as options is the best possible solution you can have, because then essentially you can please almost everyone. So
Yeah.
sprite shadows on off, just have it as a toggle. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my collection. That's how we're doing it. And while we're at it, you can toggle to the old graphics in the 3 remakes. Why not?
Yeah.
And they'll all be in widescreen, of course. Right. So that was the Mario Brothers collection. The Donkey Kong collection, on the other hand, has Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, and Sky Skipper.
Yes.
And people might see these as kind of lesser titles compared to especially Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers. So I guess to make up for it, there's a lot more unlockables, which just lines up with the fact that there are a lot more Donkey Kong Game & Watch games. So you'd have, as you said, the 3 different Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch games. Donkey Kong 3, the head-to-head one, as well as Donkey Kong Hockey, which is a similar gameplay with a different theme. Donkey Kong Circus, where you play as DK in the circus with Mario tormenting him. And then Game & Watch Greenhouse as well.
Yes.
But as for the main remakes, with Junior, you can rebuild it and include stuff from the Game & Watches, like the tabletop / panorama version had the parasols and the balloons and stuff.
True, and we can include the one level that didn't make it into Super Donkey Kong Jr.
What's that?
The pie level, the from the home version.
Yeah, okay.
Extra bonus level.
The kitchen level.
Yeah,
with the giant mixers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is in the, I believe, Coleco Adam version.
I don't believe it actually made it into any of the
That's
home
right.
versions.
Yeah.
Or
the
like
theory
it's
is
in,
that
but it's
it was
dummied out
out
or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yes, I would definitely include that if I was in charge of that. I think the veracity of it is disputed, plus besides which it was made by a third party, but I would definitely include it in my remake, and that's what we're doing here. This is getting towards pie in the sky thinking. But of course, Junior had the math spin-off on the NES as well. And you would include some maths levels in this remake as well as the playable pink DK Jr., who we would give a definitive identity to in this, that being...
I don't know. What's your idea?
I don't know, Candy, Swanky, who knows?
Pinky Kong.
Pinky Kong, yeah. Uncle Julius. Yeah, okay, and Donkey Kong 3, the remake for that, would include concepts from Daigakushu, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
This is the Hudson kind of sequel on home computers in Japan, which had DK holding onto parachutes, and instead of in a greenhouse, you traveled all over the place, all over the world and into space, and you met aliens, and it was crazy. So,
it was crazy. And the official story of, make up your own.
And a shooter like that is very open to having a second player just there along for the ride, shooting things
that's
along
true.
with you. So multiplayer would be easy to implement there. And you could do it in Junior too. I didn't mention that, but it's there. Why not? Yeah, the pink DK Junior would be a natural choice for a second character. But what if you had a third and fourth?
Ooh.
You could put Baby Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe pick some Smash alt colors.
Yeah. Green DK is a good choice.
Green DK and purple DK.
Green might match with the vines too much.
Get that grape ape in there.
Ooh. I always am a fan of Yeti DK as well with the white fur.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Good old Eddie.
Eddie the mean old Yeti. And of course, Sky Skipper, I think, would be a bit of a draw in this one because it's considered something of a lost. I was going to say classic, but I don't know. It's lost. To some extent, it was lost for a reason. Like, they didn't go forward with wider distribution because I guess people didn't like it as much.
Yeah, it had a bit more going on than other 1981 releases. This was sort of before the era of complex arcade games.
I think the re-release, when they finally ported it to Arcade Archives on the Switch, that got some attention, didn't it?
Yeah. I'd like to think so. Like, there were a bunch of news articles about it, at least. So
yeah. And I don't know how that translated to sales, but in the same way, it can be a draw for this one in a sort of similar way to how Star Fox 2 was kind of a selling point for the SNES Mini. You could have Skyskipper Remake as a selling point for the Donkey Kong Collection. And if you're remaking it, that gives you a chance to rework the gameplay and make it more appealing in whatever way you want to.
Yeah.
It does sort of stand out in both collections in that all the rest of them are platformers, and it's a flight simulator. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. What, like, you've got to keep track of your fuel and not crashing and stuff. But at the same time, like, you're rescuing people and avoiding the gorillas lobbing stuff at you and creating poker hands via the order of rescuees, because they're all like Alice in Wonderland card suited, and just there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and you could easily add more levels to expand on the content that's there.
Yeah.
Some of the levels that are already in it were kind of interesting with how they conveyed a place with the geometry of the level.
They were expansive for arcade games at the time. Like, I think they're all about like 4 screens big in like a 2x2 square. And yeah, they convey like actual places. Like, you've got some kingdoms and stuff going on there. Landscapes. Yeah.
And because it wasn't too successful, it never really got followed up on much, except possibly the reference in Super Donkey, which we covered a couple of episodes back.
Yeah.
The sort of unmade beta version of Yoshi's Island. But it did get an Atari 2600 port, which got a proper release, which has different animals and different level layouts, although they're quite simple. So you couldn't really get much from that. But I was thinking you could maybe think about including concepts from other similar titles, like Balloon Fight is not dissimilar with its sort of abstract world and flight mechanics.
That's true.
So you could have the enemies from that flying around on their balloons that you have to shoot down or something like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be cool. And multiplayer, it would be chaotic with 2 people flying around at once, especially if you have collision between the 2. But that could add to the fun.
You could have like a head-to-head dogfight mode.
Yeah, that's cool. I think all of these could have the potential to have a versus mode as well, so co-op mode.
Yeah.
Mario Brothers is even kind of a combination of the 2. Yeah. So those are my pitches. The Mario Brothers collection and the Donkey Kong and Stanley collection. 2 different ones that you have to buy separately. But they have 3 remakes each and a bunch of Game & Watch unlockables. Yeah.
Good stuff. Like I said, your ideas are way more interesting than mine.
You just took the obvious ideas first.
Yeah. I guess in the vein of continuing to iterate through collection concepts, going from Super Mario All-Stars to a more Dracula X or Sonic Mega Collection type thing, the only listener feedback question we had for this episode was from a friend of the show, Tony, who was inspired by the Kirby collection on the GameCube.
No, the Wii.
No, the Wii. The Wii U?
The
a more recent system than the Sonic Gems collection.
Was it like a 40th anniversary thing or something?
Yeah, it was an anniversary collection, and it had like the Dreamlands and 1 or 2 other games in it. But as Tony points out, they said it also has some like episodes of the cartoon and some other like museum piece stuff in it. And so Tony asks, if you had to put bonus material such as episodes of cartoons like the Kirby collection did ages ago, which would you put? And further clarifies that the Kirby collection had 3 episodes along with some museum pieces giving sort of a like, this is what was going on in the world at the time stuff.
Yeah, that's a really interesting addition to put context to the games and when they were released. But it was sort of like this happened in world history, which was an odd choice. But I like the the elaborate menu that you sort of walk through. It's
Yeah.
like a physical museum that you're walking through. It's a bit like Rare Replay had its
Ooh, yeah,
sort
a
of
bit like that.
like you're inside a building with a gallery of old games in it.
And so, if we had to limit ourselves to 3 cartoon episodes,
Yeah,
arcade era cartoon episodes, which would we pick?
it's a good thing that we just did a
I
series
know,
of
right?
of podcasts all about the different cartoons in the arcade era. So what I was thinking was, oh gosh, only 3?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like I'd want to pick an episode of the DK stuff from Saturday Supercade, an episode of the Junior stuff from Saturday Supercade, and then maybe a Captain N episode.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
maybe not.
We certainly saw some really good Captain N episodes with good Donkey Kong content, like Simon the Ape Man, Queen of the Apes, or The Lost City of Congo Land. Those definitely stand out. But they have all these other crossover elements that make it a bit like non-Donkey Kong-ish, as well as a lot of the world of Donkey Kong in that game's being made up wholesale.
So I was thinking maybe we could cheat a little bit and do 2 episodes of each of the Saturday Supercades.
I wanted to add the Super Mario Brothers Super Show episode that has a flashback to Plumbing Academy.
I agree with this.
Okay. So there's our cheat. 2 of each, and then Plumber's Academy. So which of the Supercade episodes would you pick?
Oh,
and they're short
that's
too.
A good question.
Like
they
Kirby
are.
Right Back At Ya is a full-length anime, and these are little 10-minute segments. So
that's true. So we're really just making equivalent time lengths
sure.
here. I'm gonna cheat a little and go look at our archive for the overviews of episodes.
Ah, yes. Well, I have those documents up already, and if
you're ahead of the game.
But I do remember from the episodes that my particular favorite of the Donkey Kong shows was Hairy Parent, where we meet, Sonny
with Sonny, yeah,
DK's friend, and then they go to Africa and there's all this stuff.
I feel like I want to say just Greenhouse Gorilla because it's the only Donkey Kong 3 one.
That's my other
But
pick.
I don't know. I'm torn between that and Circus Days.
Okay.
Which is like one of the only actual ones featuring the cast in a circus setting, which is their background in the show.
And that has a lot of fun cartoony stuff happening in it too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's emblematic of the series as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's treat it like we're pitching again, so we can both pick different things.
Yeah.
I pick Hairy Parent and Greenhouse Gorilla.
I might just go with Greenhouse Gorilla and Circus Days. And eschew Hairy Parent.
Sure, that's cool. And for Junior, I alluded to Uncle Julius already, so Gorilla Ghost is one of my favorites from
Gorilla
that show.
Ghost is a must. That's just right off the bat. That's a must. The rest of it's sort of up in the air, though. There's so many things to pick. Like, you could just go off the wall and be like, you know what? Let's go for something completely out of left field and pick, like, Junior Meets Kid Dynamo.
Oh, yeah. The backdoor pilot with that weird superhero kid.
Yeah.
I did actually like the final episode, Double or Nothing, which is admittedly just a Scooby-Doo plot. But it was fun. It had a lot of cool stuff in it, as well as Bones' family. So
that's true.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's a nice Bones-centric episode. We can go with that one.
Woo, go Bones. Bones rap.
Yeah, so we've got a Junior's family episode and a Bones' family episode.
Yeah. All right.
That's
cool.
good.
Does that answer the question?
But I would also include like an archive of like commercials in there. So like some of the old like "Help me save my papa" DK Jr. commercials, or Donkey Kong home release commercials, or like the cereal commercials or whatever. Because they're really short and fun and deserve to be shown to people.
And I would include the Game & Watch commercial that establishes that Greenhouse stars Stanley the Bugman.
Ooh, yes. We should totally do that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Stanley.
And what about the Super Game Boy commercial that has Donkey Kong Jr. getting squashed by a giant piston. Or was that the e-reader?
That's the e-reader.
Yeah, the e-reader commercial.
Although there is an interesting Super Game Boy commercial that has like
Yes.
Mario dressed up like Doc from Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's some cool
maybe
animation.
That's supposed
if
to
I'm
be
thinking
like
of the right one.
generically Einstein-y or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many commercials that deserve to all of them.
Yeah,
put them all in.
And have a history section like the Namco Museum collections as well, and like the Mega Man ones had a gallery of concept art and stuff. It would be good to see covers for these Game & Watch releases that are from different territories, because some of them have very plain cover arts, but other ones have nice big artwork splashes on them.
I like it. In the chat where Tony pitched this question, they further elaborate that the Kirby collection also had some new like bonus challenge levels in the engine of Return to Dreamland.
How cool is this collection? It's just
it's
such
really
a shame.
Cool. I own this, and I forgot most of the features of it because I mainly just use it to play Dreamland 2 and 3.
Well, I never had a chance. It was not released in PAL territories.
Oh no!
Yeah, our friend Matt Corner is a huge Kirby fan, and he had to import the American release.
Oof.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of wondering how we'd go about that, because like, do we do like some arcade themed levels in like the retro game's engine that like Returns and Tropical Freeze is made in, or
wow,
do we do something else? Because like I've noted, maybe not on this podcast, but like around the internet, that certain parts of Super Mario 3D Land and 3D World are very evocative of the arcade games. So maybe just doing sort of like Donkey Kong in the construction site, but in like the 3D Land engine or something. I don't know. Like what sort of engine would you pick to put like bonus levels in?
The thing about the Kirby collection, it included Kirby's Adventure Wii, or I should since it was released in America, it was called Kirby's Return to Dreamland.
Did it include Return to Dreamland?
Didn't it?
I don't think
I don't think it did. Yeah.
But the bonus levels were in that engine and had like
Right. Got it.
The framing of the whole thing like took place after Return to Dreamland and had Magalore as like the host of the museum
this
area.
sounds like such a cool collection.
And Magalore was sort of like presenting these little bonus challenges as like here's a fun thing to do. Which is why Tony is pitching this as a like, maybe it's Cranky's birthday and this is like a museum of reminiscences.
Yeah, so that was their idea, and that really works well, especially if you have the retro studios models. They're presenting it like that, as you say. So that's a great idea, and it's definitely the most recent Donkey Kong game. So that would work. I don't know if the engine would work. Well, you could always just limit how the characters move and stuff.
Like
and still have it look right.
There are technically some arcade themed areas in like Returns, because like the entire factory area sort of homages Mario's hideout from Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah.
As well as like the construction site from Donkey Kong 81.
And the greenhouse from 3 in the background of one of the jungle levels.
And Juicy Jungle.
Yeah.
So like you've already got those references there in Returns and Tropical Freeze. I don't know specifically what sort of levels you do, unless you're just sort of like recreating some like Donkey Kong 94 and Mario vs. Donkey Kong type stuff.
That's the thing about the Kirby ones, is they're new content, right? So
yeah, they're new content.
You would like, the ideal situation here is you'd be injecting creativity. You'd make up new levels in the style of old levels.
That's true.
You also mentioned Sonic Mania earlier. That's something that really goes hard on replicating old stuff, but then riffing on it, creating new stuff in the same style, in the same vein, in the same graphical style.
Yeah.
And you could easily do that with any of these games, I think.
That's true.
And my my pitch, which it had remakes, would include newly created levels in them. So it's not as much a bonus feature in those ones, but having it as a bonus in your pitches as well would also be a cool incentive and a fun extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could like set them in New Donk. You could just because Odyssey's in the same engine as 3D Land and 3D World.
Oh, okay.
So just use sort of New Donk City assets and make some little challenge areas.
Yeah,
or
and
something.
that was part of the idea that came up in the discussion on Discord, wasn't it? That, like you say, the framing story would be Cranky and New Donk or something like that.
Yeah,
and Pauline would be there.
Yeah. The comment is, say it's Cranky's birthday, and Pauline invited DK and Cranky to New York City for a party, and there just so happens that the Snowmads have frozen part of the city and kidnapped the mayor or something.
That was it. That was it. Who wrote that?
That was Tony again.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. This is sort of tying into another collection that I wanted to bring up as part of this discussion, which is an older Mega Man collection on the Mega Drive called The Wily Wars.
Yeah.
It was an all-stars kind of thing. It had Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, but redone in 16-bit graphics and audio. But it also had this bonus mode called Wily Tower, where you could take any of the weapons from all 3 of the games and make your own set to take into this new challenge area with a few levels, some new bosses. So yeah, it was the same kind of thing, but again, it's a framing story that sort of culminates the 3 remakes that it's just done and brings it together and builds on that.
Yeah.
So something like that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I wonder if this would, like the Wily Tower, how it does that I just said. Made me wonder if this would be a good opportunity to take the concept of Mario versus Donkey Kong and go a different direction with it than what they ended up taking the series in, where it's a platformer with Mario and Donkey Kong both playable and they're competing in some way.
Yeah. Or Mario and Junior, at least. You can do some interesting stuff with that. One of my pet ROM hack ideas has always been to replace Toad in SMB2 USA with Donkey Kong Jr. And once I figure out what I'm doing, maybe I'll get on that someday.
I always wanted to ROM hack Mario USA to add in the character designs from the movie in sprite form, which would be another challenge in itself.
Ooh. Mario, Luigi, Daisy, and who would it just be Toad again?
Yep.
Okay.
Goomba form.
Makes sense.
Anyway, we can save that for part 2 of our collections discussion.
No, and then you brought up Star Fox 2 earlier as a sort of a lost content released finally as a sales pitch for the SNES Mini. But the Donkey Kong series actually has some of those sorts of things as well. The most notable examples would be the ones that were actually announced and showed some screens of, like Fun with Music or Ongaku Asobi, and Return of Donkey Kong, which I don't believe there's any. They didn't have any screenshots of that, but it was on like the release schedule that was officially released before quietly being taken down.
We have no idea what that was going to be.
There's a couple others that we know of that just from people's resumes and stuff that they worked on them. Like there was going to be a CDI Donkey Kong game. We have no idea anything about it beyond the fact that it was going to be on the Philips CDI. And then back when Sega had licensed Donkey Kong for some projects, the one we know for sure was some weird parking valet game that involved Donkey Kong somehow. We don't really have any details on that either, but maybe you could track down the people who worked on those and get an idea of what they were gonna be, and then like make something for the collection.
Yeah, if they didn't have a prototype, then just take the idea and In the same way that you could make new content in the old style and just make a new game in an old style based on an old idea. Yeah, it would be a good way to add value to these collections by resurrecting this kind of lost media that existed in some form, but we never saw it. Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other point I wanted to bring up with regards to this discussion of collections is that I mentioned by doing a Donkey Kong remake is you might want to hew closer to the old one, because expanding on the gameplay and taking it in a puzzle platformer direction is something that DK94 and Mario vs. DK did. And that's definitely a series that took the legacy of the arcade Donkey Kong series and brought it into the modern age and continued to have sequels. So that could be the basis for its own collection, really.
That is very true. I'd love to have a collection of those. I'm not sure how you'd port a lot of them, because a lot of like that series lived on the DS and 3DS.
Yeah.
So like outside of Donkey Kong 94 and the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong, those were all on multi-screen systems with touch screens. So
yeah, touch screens, and a lot of the latter ones are about leading around the mini Marios through a set of challenges and obstacles.
I keep saying that like Mario versus Donkey Kong is just sort of a no-brainer for like a mobile game, and I'm not sure why Nintendo hasn't done it yet.
Well, do you think then just DK94 and Mario vs. DK1 could be the basis for their own collection on their own?
They certainly could.
At $60 US.
My parents just got a Switch, and they were kind of balking over the $60 price point for stuff. And I was pointing out that, like, yeah, they're the cheap ones, because PS5 and Xbox Series X games are more expensive than that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, honestly, it's kind of a miracle that games have been priced as low as they have for so long, because
and it's starting to go up now, and people are kind of reacting to that. I saw Bloodborne is $110 Australian, and that kind of blew my mind. But
if you take inflation into account, games are way more expensive than that.
Not to mention increasing costs of development.
Lordy, they were specifically bulking over Tropical Freeze because they wanted to make sure they had the most recent Donkey Kong game. Because my parents are awesome.
Yeah, my parents' favorite game. They played a lot of Tetris and Dr. Mario on the Super Nintendo. So I showed them Puyo Puyo Tetris. And they found it a bit overwhelming because they haven't had a lot of gaming experience in the previous 20 years.
Well, Mom's going to go pick up another copy of Okami, so I think she'll own it like 4 times over now. And Dad was happy to hear about the like roughly 500,000 different P-Cross games on the Switch.
Ooh, nice.
So I'd want to put more than just DK94 and Mario vs. DK on that collection. I'm not sure what else I'd put on there though. That's not like specifically a dual screen game though, because like there's things that are sort of like the spiritual successor to the games, like Super Mario Maker sort of supplanted the stage creation aspect of that series, because like I'm not sure how many people know, but like Mario vs. Donkey Kong was sort of where Miyamoto gave rise to the create your own stages and share it with friends thing, which was like supposed to be a feature back in Donkey Kong Plus, which eventually became Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and the editor still exists. It's just dummied out, but you can access it with like GameShark codes, and has been a thing in like all the titles up through like Mini Mario and Friends. But then Super Mario Maker came along, and kind of that's its shtick now.
But for a very different kind of game.
Yeah, and then they had a brief foray into 3D with the series, with Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move. And that template sort of became the Captain Toad series.
Oh yeah.
And so like you have some successors to this franchise, which is kind of why I suspect we haven't seen any proper entries in it since Captain Toad and Super Mario Maker came out.
Yeah, and both of those games to some extent relied on stylus control. They got Switch ports or versions that just don't work quite as well
Yeah.
because they have to support non-touchscreen mode.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up Mario and Wario.
Yeah,
Or is it, what
actually.
is it, Mario versus Wario? It's Mario and
It's Mario to Wario.
yeah, okay. This is a SNES game that's used the SNES mouse. So again, you've got pointer issues that would be difficult to get around, but it had a similar kind of basis to the later Mario vs. Donkey Kong games,
actually.
where a character is automatically walking around and you're interacting with things in the stage to make sure they get to the end.
That's true. Maybe you could put in DK94, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Mario and Wario, and you know what? Let's put Nuts and Milk in there too.
Well, the other idea I had was, as you said, this is a successor to an older series. Clue Clue Land is an old NES game, and it had a sort of successor in Donkey Kong King of Swing on the Game Boy Advance, which is also a Donkey Kong game. So
that's very
that kinda,
true.
yeah.
Clue Clue Land had its own successor in that The Legend of Zelda reused a lot of assets from it.
It did, yeah.
But Clue Clue Land's really good. I wouldn't mind throwing that in this hodgepodge collection, but I wasn't just bringing up Nuts and Milk as a joke. It's sort of it's made by Hudson first and foremost, which had a strong relationship with Nintendo back in the day, but it sort of follows up on the gameplay of the original Donkey Kong, and has a lot of similar elements like the fruit pickups and the springboards and stuff. But it also just uses the same HUD, like the exact same HUD as Donkey Kong Arcade, to the point where I think the most popular ROM hack for the game is just a reskin as a Donkey Kong game. Although, like we were mentioning in the previous episode, with some of the bootleg sequels, there's just some random nudity in that one. So maybe don't.
You can always edit it for the collection.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put in the reskin.
Oh, right.
I would just straight up include Nuts and Milk because it's charming and adorable. But yeah, it's got that sort of DK94 Mario vs. Donkey Kong energy, but like Famicom to it going on.
Nice.
You could flesh it out. You could justify that $60 price point, is what I'm saying.
Well, why not sell it for 30? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
We're not marketing people. We're just ideas people.
Yep.
But I'm out of ideas.
Yep. Pretty much. I think we've gone over most of our stuff.
Yes. But that was a really fun discussion. That was so cool. It would be cool if our listeners might let us know which collection you would buy. What would you include in a hypothetical All-Star Arcade era collection?
Listeners, let us know that you exist, please.
Yeah, you can always comment on the YouTube videos. You can send an email to gibbon@dkgoethe.com. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Or contact us on our Twitters or Tumblrs.
Yep. Any of those things.
And it's all linked in the description. So, before we finish today, do we have anything else to plug in our lives?
We do. I'm going to plug a light novel and manga series that is coming out in English called The Apothecary Diaries. It's called Kusuria no Hirigoto in Japanese. And it's about a young girl in ancient not China who grew up as the apprentice of her adopted father, who is an apothecary in the red light district. And she kind of got roped into working in the imperial harem. and so she is like trying to keep her head down and just like do her 3-year tour of duty as like a maid, and then GTFO because she doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But being the intelligent and nosy young woman that she is, she inevitably gets noticed and caught up in things.
No.
Um,
So it's a harem manga, but in a different way to usual.
yeah, that kind of annoys me in that when you're trying to look up manga that like take place in a historical harem, they're A, not in the harem tag, and B, are impossible to find because so many of these bullshit shonen harem things show up in search results.
Yeah.
No, this is more of the sort of like historical fantasy, historical fiction with a strong female lead subgenre.
That is a cool
Which,
genre.
yeah. And yeah, I've been reading it for some time. It's up to like a dozen volumes or so in Japanese, and the manga is up to several volumes as well.
Hmm.
And it's finally coming out in English. The first volume of the light novel. The light novel is being published by J Novels, and the first volume's coming out like in a month or so. And the first manga volume is out, and it's being published by Square Enix's manga and anime division.
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting choice. Is the manga just an adaptation of the light novel?
It is, and there's actually two different manga.
Oh.
This is only one of them. This is one of those light novels that has multiple adaptations. This is the better adaptation, though, that's being published in English.
Oh, good.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to plug the Umihara Kawase series, which we've both gotten into in a big way, but there's
That
more
is
to
an
come.
understatement.
Yeah, I'm going to wait on that one because I still haven't played the latest game, and we both have the manga guidebook coming in the mail, so we can talk about that later after all that stuff.
Maybe we
arrives.
should just do like a bonus episode about that series that doesn't really have anything to like. I don't know.
We could make a tangential connection, maybe.
Nah, fuck it. We could just do like a non-related episode if we felt like it. I don't know. I love this series. I'm so glad you got me to actually look into it. But anyway, what are you actually playing?
What I'm actually plugging is just based on one of the Christmas presents I got. So there's this blog called Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. And
Oh yeah, I remember that started up when I was in college. Good stuff.
yeah, I got into it a while ago, and it's just you could call it comics or just stories where she just relates tales from her life, whether it's dumb things that she did as a kid, or strange experiences that happened to her, or like things that her idiot dogs do, or on the other end of the spectrum, there's really real stories about her struggles with depression. And it's very relatable, and it's well told. And it's also accompanied by these very amusing illustrations that are very
She's
basic.
a wizard with MS Paint.
Yeah, they're done in MS Paint, and I think she started by doing them all with a trackpad on her laptop. So they're quite crude, but her art skills either they developed or they're just good. She is capable of doing good drawings, but
Yeah.
there's sort of this intentionally crude style to them where she represents herself as just kind of a blob with stick legs and arms. So this was a blog that had a lot of entries like many years ago. At one point, she published a book based on the blog. So some of the stories from there were printed as well as new ones. And then the blog kind of went dark for many years until just recently when it came back to promote.
It came back?
Well, it came back to promote a new book. So in the meantime, she'd been working on another book on and off, I guess. And like there's a sample chapter from the book as a new blog post, as well as
I see that.
some fun, cheeky, like hyperlink maze things that she sometimes does. Anyway, so yeah, there's a new book. The art style has developed, but it seems to be a lot of the same kinds of stories. So I'm very looking forward to reading it. I got it as a present, but just now I've been reading the first book before starting on the second one. So I'll just put a link to the blog, and then there's links to both books there, as well as the archive of posts.
Good stuff.
Yes. So that will do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. I had a lot of fun, and see you in the
we
new
had a
year.
nice, short, concise episode. This one was actually only an hour.
Finally, the Arcadia Power Hour was under an hour.
And happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa. I don't know what you wish for Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Have a quasi Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa.
A tip-top tet and a solemn, dignified Ramadan, as Krusty the Clown says on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Thank you,
all
Simpsons
that good
quote
stuff.
of the day.
And
Yes.
a Merry 12th Night.
Yes. Okay.
Which we celebrate in my family.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
but yes, actually. But yeah, thank you all for listening for another year. We kind of ended up averaging like an episode a month.
We did it?
Maybe we'll keep that up.
Oh, fingers crossed.
We have some if the timing's right, you'll see our brand new podcast graphic on the YouTube upload of this.
Yes, Courtney Ultimentality,
which
made
is
this.
A friend of ours who I've had the pleasure of hanging out with in real life. She is a joy to be around. You should check out her streams and Twitter.
And her artwork. She does commissions.
Yes, and we commissioned some podcast graphics from her, and they turned out amazingly. So I am happy to be able to share those with you finally.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, 2020 wasn't a good year for everyone, but it was a pretty good year for the podcast, and we had some fun episodes, and hopefully we can continue that momentum into 2021.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Bye.
Bye.